Hey, how's it going? I'm back here again in the kitchen, just making some tea. And I wanted you to check out what I've got going on here. So, here in my brand new pot, I have some reishi mushrooms floating on top, which I've broken up. And then down here, getting dark and black, is some prepared Romania root and some hushu and some asparagus roots. Now basically what I'm going to do is let this come to more of a rolling boil and then let this cook down for about a half an hour. And then I'm going to add some of the more delicate things like the schizandra berries and the goji berries, and then I'm going to add some cinnamon bark as well. So the insight here, or the tip that I want to share, is that when it comes to making tea, different herbs need different cooking times. So if you have something really light and delicate like, I don't know, holy basil or mint or any kind of green leaf like anosema or something, that you don't need to really boil that. You can just let that steep for anywhere from 5 to like 20 minutes just in some hot water, and that'll pull out most of the constituents, and you can do that 2 or 3 times. But for something that's really hard and dense like roots and barks and tree mushrooms, they require much more of a higher temperature, longer period of time extraction, which you could call it a decoction. Whereas the gynostemma and the leaf, that's more of an infusion. Things like roots and barks and mushrooms need a decoction, which means they need anywhere from 1 to 4 to 6 to 8 hours of pretty high heat, sometimes all the way up to a hard boil. So basically that's what I have in here so far, is I have roots, the hoshu, the asparagus, and Romania. Those are all roots, and then the reishi on top, which is a mushroom. So these are all going to need much more of a cooking time than these other herbs over here, being the schizandra berries and the goji berries. Those could really get a soft boil for about a half an hour to pull out all of the good stuff, the good one out of there. But you don't necessarily want to boil those for really long periods of time, because you can lose some of the delicate flavor constituents and some of the medicinal compounds. So that's just one little tip that I wanted to share to wrap up and kind of recap. Roots, tree barks, and mushrooms, things that are really dense and fibrous and woody, those need anywhere from 1 to 3 hours of boiling to pull out the compounds. Things that are more delicate like leaves or green tea, things like that, those require more of like an infusion, or you can steep them anywhere from 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how strong you like the flavor. Some teas would only steep for just a few minutes. Some teas would steep for much longer because you want a much more intense flavor. So that's another little elixir tea tip here. And one more thing before I go is I've noticed some people asking, what do you do after you cook the herb once? Well, I usually cook it at least 2 or 3 times, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on the herb. And how you can tell how much is left in the herb is by the color and the taste of the product that you're yielding. So you want to taste your tea, you want to look at it and see how dark it is and how strong the taste is, because that's going to be an indicator as to how much of the medicinal compounds are still left. And then after 2 or 3 times, you can usually discard it, compost it, throw it away, whatever. So there's 2 tips in one video. Hope you enjoyed, and post your comments below, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more crazy elixir recipes and tonic tips.